Hey peoples, welcome back to episode 2 of the Rundown podcast with myself, Sanjavi Okidi. I'm excited. It's actually exciting doing the second one. But anyway, I've got more rundowns to go ahead with you guys. So let's stay locked in. I'm going to give you a little rundown. So this week I want to talk about us clapping for the NHS, and quite frankly I think it's now become pointless. In the beginning, the first couple of weeks, I thought it was a great and lovely gesture. Let's clap for these people, they're doing an amazing job, we're here for you, we support you, we salute you. But as the weeks went on, I felt like the novelty of it all wore off, and it made us feel, it was just more like making us feel better. But what are they going to do with these claps? Like, what really and truly, what are these healthcare workers, social care workers, nurses, cleaners, porters, what are they going to do with these claps? You've got people clapping outside their houses, ignoring the social distancing rules, and almost creating a street party. You've got neighbours doing bongo lines up and down their street, again ignoring the social distancing rules. And you have groups and crowds of people clapping on bridges in the heart of London, the police right there, no social distancing, but of course we're clapping for the NHS. It doesn't make sense to me. I was reading the book Natives by Carla, and in the book, this is a quote, he says, "Britain actually takes pride in positive and national events that they had no direct involvement in. Like, we won the World Cup, we won the war. Yet they seem less likely to confront the negative aspect of our history. So to bring that into this situation, clapping is a positive that we're focusing on, but we're less likely to confront the negative aspect behind clapping. The failure to support the NHS with the right equipment, the failure of protecting the staff from the virus as a result of dying, the failure of protecting the black and minority ethnic group from the virus and other factors as they are dying at a disproportionate rate more than anybody else. How can we as a country be ranked second in the world for pandemic readiness and then choose not to use those same systems that were put in place? You're ranked second, and guess who was ranked first? The US. And look at us both now, shambles, running and shaking in our boots. We now know that the government were told in February that the virus would be catastrophic and action needs to be taken, but instead Boris told us to wash our hands and go about our normal daily lives. The reason why the UK has one of the highest deaths in the world is because our government consciously decided not to act earlier. There are so many negatives, and we're clapping like we've achieved something or as if we've won something. We haven't. There was NHS staff at food banks collecting food because when the lockdown was announced, everyone went crazy and emptied the supermarkets, went home and clapped their hands at 8 p.m. for the same people they forced to go to the food banks, as well as other people. I believe that now clapping is a distraction that our government used to take away from their significant failures. And right now I feel as though our government are more concerned about money, the economy, rather than our precious lives. Why can I never say that word? Precious lives. We're easing out the lockdown now whilst we still have some of the highest deaths in the world. Does that make sense to anyone? No. It don't make no sense to me. How can you ease out of a lockdown? Again, ignore the rules. You can see China's numbers have just spiked back up again, and we're not following their model, no? Instead of staying at home, we're told to stay alert, control the virus. What was the last one? Stay alive. How in the hell am I supposed to control a whole coronavirus? How in the hell am I supposed to stay alert for something that I can't see? If I can't control the thing and I can't see the thing, how in the hell are we supposed to stay alive? That slogan don't even make sense. We should have just stuck with the original. And I don't think we should be taken advice from people who don't take a situation like this seriously. I'd rather listen to the direct advice from the medics and scientists up in that NHS up there. Thing is, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know politics and I have a degree and a master's in it. I certainly don't. I just keep up to date and read books and watch the news and digest. But what I do know is our cleaners. I say them first because I feel like people keep leaving them out. Our nurses, doctors, healthcare workers, social workers, they deserve more than a clap. Imagine this is you. Yeah, imagine this is you in your job in hospitality. I don't know, you're a makeup artist, you're whatever it is, you work in a law firm, and your employer your manager gives you this extra work to do, requires you to stay hours upon the hours you're already allocated, and tells you, oh, by the way, just so you know, you might die from all this extra work that you're doing, but we believe in you. And there's a round of applause. A round of applause for you. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, so you want me to do all this extra work that I might possibly die from, and we're just gonna clap. We're not gonna talk about no pay. No. Oh, okay. And so some of you might have quit there and then. Some of you might get on the job and then later on ask for a deserving pay rise, and your employer turns around and gives you another round of applause. You're doing a brilliant job, but now it's not the time to discuss a pay rise. During that time, your employer has been giving himself an extra 10 grand to work from home, in addition to an extra 28,000 he already gets yearly to cover expenses. But you don't deserve a pay rise. Yeah. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't have it. So why should they have it? Why should they have to live off claps as a reward? Did you know that nurses make around £8 per hour? That comes up to about 23,000 yearly averagely. This is minimum. And waitresses can make much more than that, no tips. A nurse makes around minimum £8 per hour, which comes up to about average £23,000 yearly. A waitress can make more than that, with no tips. Again, an avocado reference. In his book Natives, he says, can a nurse whose pay increases are capped at 1% below the rate of inflation by politicians who have not capped their own pay change the fact that he or she is literally getting poorer every passing year, despite doing the same bloody hard work? It's not even the same bloody hard work. These are out here saving lives, literally. Does the financial rewards match the demands of that job, especially now during a global pandemic? I don't think so. Since the Conservatives came into power in 2010, the average salary of nurses dropped by 8% to create that number. Any increase to workers' wages was capped at 1%. In 2017, 323 MPs voted against any possible pay rise. 313 of them were the same Tories that are in government today, including Boris Johnson, including Michael Gove, including Health Secretary Matt Hancock. The cap was lifted in 2018, but since then, MPs have enjoyed 8 pay rises, making their basic salary $81,000. Add in all the extra additionals, that makes that just over $100,000 that they're getting. And people with hard work, like our workers, had their wages capped at 1%. And now look, we're in a whole global pandemic. And their financial rewards does not match the demands of that job in the slightest. How are they so comfortable to continuously increase their pay? Because they work hard and overlook hard workers, the real hard workers, who hold a very important role during this life-threatening pandemic. It's like people have almost forgot that people are dying here. What, is this a norm now? Oh yeah, 30,000 people are dead. Oh, it's fine. Of course not. People are dying. We have the highest amounts of death, and it seems like we're taking this as a joke, as a country, when I say this. And why are black people dying at a higher rate? Black and minority ethnic. Why are we dying at a higher rate than everybody else? And not just in the UK, but across Europe and the US, unsurprisingly the Western worlds. Let's just go through some facts on this one. 70% of deaths amongst health and social care workers are black and minority ethnic. BAME. Even though they only make up 20% of the NHS. So that's about 10% Asian, 6% black, and the rest of the percentage other. And our white colleagues make up 80% of the NHS, yet 70% of deaths amongst health and social care are BAME. Even if an hypothesis was made on this, purely based on numbers, you wouldn't predict that. You wouldn't come up with that number. I mean, me personally, as a black person, I'm not surprised by these numbers. I'm not surprised at all. All these statistics that have been published over the past month, they tell us, yes, that we're dying more, but it doesn't say why. And I believe it's based on, I know it's based on racism and discrimination. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. And I probably lost some followers at this point, some listeners, but let's it's the truth. Racism and discrimination. How else do you get the same statistics across Europe and the US with the same looking pie chart? How do we get the same numbers? Because it's based on race and discrimination. We all know of that story of Belly Mujinga, the 47-year-old black woman who worked at Victoria Station in London. And she had a dispute with a customer. He told her he had the coronavirus and he spat in her face and another colleague's face. She later died from that virus, leaving behind a daughter and a husband. She previously told her employer that she had respiratory issues, but they still insisted she work in the open. Her colleagues even say that she was sent back to work after being spat at. Her other colleague survived, by the way, the one who also had her face spat on. But she previously told her employers that she had, one, a respiratory issue, and she didn't feel comfortable working on the floor. They sent her on the floor, in the open, no protection, no PPE, and was sent back to work after being spat at. And it was only after this incident that other members of staff received masks for the first time. To me, this says discrimination. I can point points where this shouldn't have happened, where it could have stopped. If they had listened to her in the first place when she said she had respiratory issues and put her in the back office, that would not happen to her. I thought we were supposed to be looking out for those who had underlying health issues. I thought we were supposed to be looking out for the vulnerable. Or are we just trying to make money at work here? Black people need to be protected, as well as everybody else from every other background, from this virus, because it's killing everyone. I'm glad to hear that, though, that people are calling for an independent public inquiry into these deaths. And I hope that the government actually takes those seriously, because I feel like just because you post out your statistics about and you acknowledge that the BAME community are dying more, that it's okay, we publish the reports, the statistics are there, okay, there you go, done. No, there's a reason as to why we're dying more than everybody else. And hopefully an independent public inquiry into it, signed by the likes of a Baroness Doreen Lawrence, I hope that's taken seriously. We all know the statistics. Now action is needed. Ensuring increased income protection, reducing occupational risks such as providing PPE, protective equipment, and listening to your employees like Belly Mujinga who have underlying issues. More needs to be done there. So when it comes to clapping for the NHS every Thursday at 8 p.m, I don't think now is the right time to do it. I think once we have dealt with the last cases is when we should show appreciation, nationwide round of applause, street parties. Carnival, I will see you next year. But for right now, the focus should be on what is here, what is yet to have been overcome, especially now with cases re-spiking up across the world in countries who reopen their borders. If we didn't pay attention in the beginning, when we had warnings, then maybe now is the time to take a look at all these other countries with the spikes and the cases going back up again and start actually planning so that we can overcome this, so that we can appreciate our key workers.